we're gonna check the rear shocks. Yeah, I'm bouncing around. Here's the beginning of episode 2. All right, now the next subject is going to be oil. Everybody does their oil changes different ways. You either take it to the Walmart or your local mechanic or whatever the case may be. Nobody really thinks about oil unless you're a mechanic. Now, we're talking about winter here, and we'll talk about it in the next episode for when summer comes around. All right, oils come in different grades and viscosities. Now, during the winter, you don't want a really thick oil because it'll take forever to warm up, and meanwhile, while you're doing that, you're exposing your engine to possible metal on metal rubbing because the oil is not being circulated around the engine. You want a little bit of thinner oil during the winter. And I got a good example to show you how to do that. If you're not doing your own oil changes, we'll get to that. That's gonna be Badger level 2, maybe 3. I haven't quite memorized the scale yet, but I'll put a little thing there on the video to show you what level it is. If you're not doing your own oil changes right now, you take it in, ask them, is this gonna be for winter weight or are you just generic? Now, some oils are generic. They have a wide range of use for winter use and summer use. Like wide ranges of anything, there's always a compromise. So you have a 15 weight oil is very thin, a 50 weight is thicker. Now, what you want is when the engine gets hotter and the temperatures get hotter, you want a thicker weight oil so when it thins out, it's not really as thin as it causes engine damage. If you start with a 15 weight oil and expect it to handle really hot temperatures, you're going to possibly expose your engine to damage by metal on metal rubbing. Oils are a whole different thing, and we're going to talk about that in a different episode. But what I want to show you a thing to think about is just note and keep in the back of your mind, do I have a winter weight oil? And the best way to check the appropriate oil for your car during the winter is your owner's manual again. In that episode that I talked about owner's manuals, and how to work on things, we talked about extensively how your owner manuals will help you, guide you. Every car is different. Don't assume because you know one, you know the other. You have to check your owner's manual. I hate to say it, but guys, you got to follow the directions. Ladies, you're way ahead of us on this. All right, I'm going to show you an example of difference. All right. Here's a generic oil, Mobil 1 1550. I just grabbed this off of my motorcycle. And I got a little bit of molasses. Now this is gonna simulate really, really cold oil during the winter. So you say -0 or 0 degrees, -10, -20, how slowly it moves around your engine. It's an exaggeration, but it's a good example. Here's your oil when it's nice and warm. How quickly it flowed. As you can see, it's just draining across cardboard here. Molasses, it's really moving slow. See how slow it's moving? Now, imagine if that's your oil trying to get around your engine. We're have to work a lot harder to get our engine. Your oil pump's gonna have to push harder to get that oil around your engine, and you could expose the engine to metal on metal damage. So that's something to think about for your oils. Alrighty. We got the oil experiment down and I want to show you how it worked, but I don't want to panic you, but I just want to give you enough information to think about it. That way you're blindly not driving in and getting your oil changed and some guy that's doing your oil change doesn't know any more than you do or hasn't even thought about it or doesn't care. More importantly, he's getting $10 an hour or she's getting $10 an hour and they don't really care their job. They're just going to grab the oil and throw it in. Be an educated consumer and you're going to ask those questions, or more importantly, if you're going to learn how to do this yourself, you kind of have a good head start and think about it. Okay, winter's coming up, maybe I should put a winter weight oil in. And the summer is, I'll put that in. If you have oil in your car right now, you're not due for an oil change, don't panic. It's not going to cause major disaster to your engine. When you go to get your oil changed the next time, you can go ahead and put a winter weight in. All right, you've got questions, put those down below. If you like what you're hearing, hit the like button as well. Also hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to educate you guys here. I'm not an expert by any means, but I have done this a long time in my life. I enjoy working on vehicles and I enjoy teaching. So hopefully you guys are learning something here. As you can see, the molasses still hasn't caught up to the regular oil. Next on the list. Next thing on the list is wiper blades. We're gonna change out the wiper blades. This would be about a Badger level 1. Pretty simple straight job. There's directions on it. Basically, there's a couple clips. You can slide the wiper blades off. Maybe you have to use a screwdriver to pop it off. If you're not comfortable doing that, here's the cool part. When I bought my wiper blades, the nice lady at the store actually asked me if I wanted my wiper blades changed. I declined because I wanted to show you guys how to do it. But if you're not comfortable doing it, don't want to do it, or you're in a hurry, let them change it. You paid for those wipers, let them change it. It's a great service these days. Okay, here's the deal with wiper blades. When you buy really good wiper blades, they're gonna provide you with directions. Typically, all wiper blades go on either the same way. They have like a little J-hook or they have a little pin that goes in. If you don't know which one's which, you can look at your car, try to figure it out, and use these directions as kind of a guide to figure it out. Now, my particular truck here is pretty straightforward. It has a little clip here. You pop forward and they'll slide right out. Now, here's the cool thing. I didn't even notice this because I've never really worried about it. Somehow I've just learned how to change out wiper blades without reading the directions. Men are bad at that. I think it's really cool. This one's got a QR code on it. Tells you how to do it. There's a video that goes along with it. This one's particular, rainx.com. I like their wiper blades again, as I mentioned earlier. If you buy better wiper blades, you're gonna get some directions to go with it. If you don't, you're gonna have to figure it out and struggle. Anyways, the basic concept is, there's a little clip, you pop this off, pops forward, and then this wiper blade will slide right out like that, slides back. Now this one's got the J-hook on it, like so. Don't drop this, you could crack your windshield. Just ease it down as you put the wiper blade off, okay? All right, the replacement on this one is pretty straightforward. You just slide the hook down in here, pull it in, and you'll hear a little click. And then, make sure you don't forget to take off the little plastic protector, otherwise it's gonna look funny when you're trying to put it on. All right, you repeat the same thing on the other side. If you're asking yourself, how do you know what size wiper blades to use or what type and what brand? Well, there's all sorts of brands out there. There's all sorts of types. What size is what's dictated by the size of your car. Now, here's two things. It's either in the operating manual of your car. You can also ask that friendly customer service agent at your local auto parts store to help you out. There's nobody around, or if you're at Walmart or you're at Target or all that stuff, though, they have these little guides that you can electronically look it up and go, hey, what year is my car? What size do I need? Don't assume that one size will fit all. Sometimes the wiper blades will be 22 inches on one side and 24 inches on the other. So you want to make sure that you get the wiper blade for the right side, driver's side versus passenger side. Now my truck is lucky. They're both the same size on both sides, so they're easy to put on. Pretty much straightforward on wiper blades. The type of wiper blade you use, I'd recommend. What conditions are you going to be driving in? Is it winter? Is it snowy? Is it really rainy? Is it dusty conditions? Just because you're in California or you're in Arizona or New Mexico doesn't mean that you don't need wiper blades that are in good shape. They need to be replaced out because they're going to get dried out. You can do winter stuff as well in Arizona and New Mexico. It's the same thing. It's winter, you can check the boil over point on your antifreeze. Same thing with your wiper blades. Replace those appropriately for the conditions and climate you're in. I'm gonna get going on the next one, and I will check back with you later. Click. There we go. Simple as that. Easy replacement. All right, your wife's gonna love you. Significant other, husband. These videos are for anybody. Anybody can work on cars. They're not gender specific. All right, we're gonna move on. Another thing is nobody does it really check very often. It only takes a few of you guys to check it, you or yourself, or you can just leave them on yourself, is check your lights. Nobody checks their lights these days. You're driving along oblivious and you have a taillight that's burnt out. Well, during the middle of that snowstorm, you really want to know that your taillights are working so some chucklehead on his texting on his phone doesn't run into you. He may still run into you, but at least your taillights were working at the time. All right, the other thing is that you really want to make sure your interior car is clean. Otherwise, it's going to be prone to getting moisture in here as well as rust, and you want to prevent that, especially in the Midwest or anywhere they use a lot of salt. Iowa, they just destroy cars with salt, so we'll talk about that later. There'll be an episode and a video on how to do rust prevention. There's a little bit of rust there. I'm going to work on a different video and show you how to get rid of that and stop that, and then also prevent it from occurring again. But that'll be a different episode. All right, getting back in the car here, you want to vacuum out, because that dirt's just going to attract moisture and hold it into the carpet, and this is not good because a lot of these modern cars have a lot of electrical cables and stuff underneath these seats, as well as computers underneath these seats. So you want to make sure that that's all protected. The best way to do that is throw down some nice floor mats to protect that. I'm choosing to use some WeatherTech floor mats for that product. But you can do anything you want, but I'm a big fan of WeatherTech. Hold all sorts of water. You can come in with your boots all snowy and hold those up. I'll throw those in later and we'll show you how to do that. All right, another part of the equation, make sure your car is safe for winter, is make sure you have good shocks. I know you've seen it. You've seen that car driving down the freeway and the tail's bouncing around, the trunk's going around. It's like somebody's bouncing around in the back, and what those are is those worn out shocks. Now shocks help you brake, help you provide traction. What those do is they push the tire and axles down and provide pressure to the tire while you're braking. If you don't have that, they can prevent you having the best traction you can while you're trying to brake. Again, during the winter, you want the best traction you can get with your tires, your shocks. Now here's the fun part. You get your kids, your wife, yourself, you come out here and bounce around. What you do is you're gonna check the front struts and the back struts, either struts or shocks. Struts are typically up front, shocks are in the back. We'll talk about that later. But you wanna check them. If you're not qualified or you don't feel comfortable doing that, or you're not that Badger level yet, what you'll do is you'll know that they need to be replaced. You take them to your local mechanic and then you tell them that you're not feeling like you're getting ripped off by, hey, your shocks are bad, you need to replace them. You don't know if they need to be replaced or not. Here's the best way to check it. It's kind of fun. It's not the most scientific way. There's all sorts of tools the way to do it, but the best way I know how to do it is check your shocks by bouncing on it. If it keeps bouncing, the shocks or struts are bad. All right, here we go. Hop up here on the bumper, bounce around. Woohoo! Now as you can see, as soon as I stop bouncing, the truck stopped. That means that my struts, my front struts are in good shape. We'll go check the rear shocks. Now if you don't have a strong bumper like I do, you can push down on it, you can push over here. If that's not the case, if you feel while you're driving down the road, you don't feel comfortable doing that, you don't want to dent your hood or you don't want to dent your fender by pushing down on it, you're driving down the road, see if your car is bouncing around. That's another way to do it. This is the fun way to do it if you have a nice big bumper, like a pickup. All right, we're gonna check the rear shocks. Yeah, I'm bouncing around. Bouncing pretty good. Pretty good exercise. You see it stops as soon as I do. So the shocks on this truck are in really good shape. Again, like I mentioned, if it's your car and you don't feel like you're comfortable bouncing up and down on it, that's okay. Just be aware of it while you're driving the next time to see if it's bouncing in the rear or the front. Or if you're not sure, always take it to a qualified professional. I'll make you a qualified professional later as you move up to level, I think 3 or 4 Badger levels. All right, so that's a good way to check your shocks. If you got a pickup or a car that's got a pretty good sized bumper, you can push down on the bumper as well. Or you can open up the trunk and push down on the trunk area, and if it stops, you really want to have them looked at and replaced before winter. These are brand new tires. So these are really good tires, but you want to make sure you have some good tread on your tires. If you don't, you really want to make sure you have that prepared for winter. I showed you the tread on my brand new or new to me truck. It had brand new tires on it, so we don't need to worry about that. But my project truck here is actually got horrible tires on it. It's a great example to use. Penny, and take a Lincoln's, you see Lincoln's head. You want to stick his head down there in the tread. Now, if his head isn't covered up by tread, which this is the case, you can't even, it's not even covering up anywhere close to covering his head. You don't have enough tread on your tires. You want to check in a couple spots, but you want to make sure you got enough tread. If you don't have enough tread, it's going to be bad for you in the winter. Now we're going to check it one more time over here. See, you can see his head. This front tire is another good example where you can see the top of Lincoln's head. Therefore, there's not enough tread on this tire. These tires would not be good for the winter. They would not give you enough traction. You could get stuck. More importantly, when you're trying to brake, you're going to lose traction. And that's the most important part of this, okay, is traction while you're trying to brake in the winter. Okay, next on our winter preparation is a good wash and wax. Now the wax is going to protect your car against all those elements. If you live in a nasty climate for salt and brine and sand and all that sort of stuff, it's going to help you protect your car against those issues. Now, I just bought this car, so it had a nice detail on it when I bought it. I'm not going to have to wax it, but I am going to do a good wash on it and just do an inspection, make sure everything's good. I would encourage you to set some time aside to do a good wax on your car, wash and wax. So the truck a good wash down. I got the power washer out from the garage earlier, so we're going to give it a good wash, and then I will do couple more things for the winter prep, and then we'll wrap it up. Now I like using a nice microfiber towel to wipe things down. I use these only on my car, and then when they get dirty, I'll wash them in the washer and then throw them in the dryer, etc., and they go in their own little bucket. That way you know you're not using your wife's favorite towel. They get dirty. So you just wash them, run them through the washing machine. Wipe out the door seals here. People don't do it. I don't see a lot of people doing it, but what it does is it gives you a chance to check for rust, anything else like that. Also, especially do it on your lady's side or your gal's side or your man's side or whatever. If you don't wash it or clean it, it's gonna have dirt on there, and they drag their dress across there, he drags his suit across there. The next thing you know, he's got dirt on there, and they'll be like, didn't you just clean this vehicle? Yes, I cleaned it, but I didn't wipe this down. So don't be lazy. Clean the inside of the door seals here. That'll be coming up in a different episode on how to prep your car for rust, prep it as far as prevent it from happening, but if it does happen, how to stop it and slow it down. This is a Chevy pickup. I think they start rusting from the day they come from the factory. The fact of life on a Chevy Silverado, I think. Chevy, shame on you. Okay, next on the list is one of my favorite techniques and tricks that I learned from a detailer, actually. Aircraft detailer, not a car detailer, is Rain-X. I like to use it as a tool. I like to use Rain-X on my windshields as well as my headlights. You know, there's nothing worse than not being able to see where you're going, or you got ice building up on your headlights. I have a Chevy pickup. I don't have a fancy Mercedes or BMW that's got heated headlights or heated windshield wiper stuff. Ice can build up on these. Big trick I like to use, pass it on to you, you do what you want with it. I'm just gonna give some tools. If you don't wanna use them, just chuck them away. If you like the tools I'm giving you, hold on to them and use them another day. All right, it says wipe in a circular pattern and let it dry to a haze. All right, after initial application, you let it dry to a haze, which I've done. Now you polish it with another clean microfiber cloth. Nice polish and should be good to go. Kind of like waxing your windshield. All right, a little bit of post-editing add-on here. I noticed during the winter prep editing for the video that I didn't show you how to check your tire pressure, so I'm gonna do that right now. Here we go. All right, we got your standard tire. This is the truck tire that we were working on, checking the tire tread. We're also gonna use this to check the tire pressure. Now, first thing you gotta look at is you're looking for your valve stem here. It's just a little, it sticks out like so. It's a little cylindrical item there, and in the middle there's a little piece of cylindrical centerness, I guess if you want to call it, or a cylindrical rod, and you push that on that'll allow air to come out. That's what allows, it's called the valve stem, and that'll allow air to go in and out. What you want to do is take a tire pressure gauge, something like this, pretty straightforward, and you're going to push that onto that valve stem. This is straightforward. You're going to read it right off the gauge. Then there's the other fancy ones. All right, this fancy one here, First Sergeant gave me. This one's really nice because you'll stick it on the pressure, that valve stem there. It'll read the pressure, and then it'll hold it when you take it away so you can read the pressure afterwards. I want to show you how to use both of these. These are just two styles out there. Any style that you grab will work for you. You just want to find the one that works best for you. All right, we're just going to go for the regular style one right now. Put that on there. As you can see, it reads as pressure, and it's showing right around 32 pounds. That's obviously low. I'll show you what the pressure is supposed to be for this tire. Next one, we're just going to stick this on here, kind of straight connection. Push this straight on. All right, and what it does is it reads the pressure. Now this one is showing right around 38 psi. So there's a little bit of difference between the cheaper one and the little bit more expensive one. Okay, now you're asking, how do I know what the tire pressure is supposed to be? So if you look over here on the tire side, it's going to tell you load range. It's also going to tell you maximum load single axle, and then it's also going to tell you at 80 pounds PSI cold. You really want to look at your tire for the right PSI for this particular tire. Each tire is different. Your manufacturer is going to give you a recommendation inside your manual as well. Okay, we're gonna call it a day to our winter prep video. We talked about the antifreeze, we talked about the batteries, we talked about your tires, we talked about that. We talked about washing and waxing. We also talked about cleaning the inside of the vehicle. I didn't have to do that because my car was as detailed from when I bought it, but you wanna make sure it's nice and clean. You got the WeatherTech mats in there as well. You got those in there, the nice protection. That's just my personal thing. I like using those mats. It helps keep the snow from pulling up and going overflowing and getting your rug all nasty. We talked about your oil, okay? We also talked about protecting and washing and waxing your vehicle and applying Rain-X, checking your wiper blades. Put your comments down below if you like it, what you saw, and you learned something. Hit that like button below. Also tell me what you learned, what you didn't learn, what you liked, didn't like. Hit the subscribe button, hit the belly thing to let you know the next time I upgrade a video. I want to try to get them out twice a week, get some videos out twice a week. One will be educational, one will also be a project, kind of a more advanced, so you can kind of see where you can go from the very beginning and start out the very basic. Again, I'm here to help you guys learn. More of a mentor, not necessarily an expert at anything, but I am a jack of all trades, if you want to call it. I'll always be honest. If I don't know something, I'll tell you where to look it up. Ignorant of something, I missed something, I'm assuming the viewers will let me know. It's more the expert viewers. All right, we're gonna call it a day for this. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, all that other fun stuff. Thanks for watching and thanks for the support. Talk to you guys later.